Hello and welcome to FPL Have a Beer. We're invited to have a beer with me while I chat FPL. Please like the video to help get it out there, and please subscribe to help me get up to how many subscribers do I want to get up to by the start of next season? 1,000. Well, technically 100,000. That's probably a little bit ambitious though. So in this video, I'm going to be completely honest. Wasn't planning on making a video today, but I am currently on leave from work, and I think I saw a video by Sam, FPL Family, earlier on about price predictions, and I thought, why not jump on and make a quick price prediction video? So that's basically what we're going to do in this one. We're going to talk about my player price predictions. Please jump in, tell me what you think the prices should be as we go along. So yeah, to start off, I thought I would talk a little bit about where we are sort of in the summer FPL cycle. You know, where are we at? Obviously the game's not out yet. So the fixtures are going to be released at 7 a.m. on Wednesday. So there's going to be an awful lot of content, I imagine, coming out at 7 a.m. on Wednesday. I'm going to be on a live stream with Triggerlips on his channel at, I think we're recording it at 7 o'clock on Wednesday night. I've actually got quite a few live streams coming out this week. So I've also got the winner of FPL Challenge, Zaywad, joining me at, I think we're recording at 2 o'clock on Wednesday night. 2 o'clock Wednesday afternoon. And then hopefully I'm going to also be doing a live stream with Andrew, FPL Nightmare, on Friday. And we're going to have a quick look at the fixtures then. And we're also going to talk about our first season experiences of creating content. So before we get into looking at the prices, I thought I'd have a quick look at when people are predicting the game will be released. So this is a table which I need to credit to Fantasy Football Scout. Hi, come. About when they predict the game's going to come out. So we can see I was actually quite surprised. The date the game comes out is not exactly uniform. It seems to change quite a bit. So you can see the earliest date it's been released was the 23rd of June, which would obviously not be very far away at all. That would be, well, a couple of weeks away. It wouldn't even be that, would it? It'd be about a week. And the latest, apart from when it was released on the 15th of August, but if you remember, hi Sultan, that was the COVID season, so we had a much later start to the season. Generally the game is released second week of July. So I've made a note that on Fantasy Football Scout, they have suggested that because of the Club World Cup, which I believe the final, correct me if I'm wrong, in the chat, is on the 12th, that it's likely the game will come out on the 14th. Or at least that seems to be when they are predicting, at least, that the game will come out. So we've probably... What date is it today, actually? I'm not going to check that before. Probably about a month we've got before the game launches. So we've got an awful lot of time between now and then. So obviously I'm going to start this video by saying all the normal sorts of things. You know, there's a month to go. Players can come in, players can leave. Different things can happen in terms of managers. This is really just a general chat, particularly on the players from last season. Have a quick look at how they performed. Give our predictions in terms of how they're going to do next season, and then also have a look at a few of the newer players who've come in and what we think may happen in terms of their prices. So do tell me in the chat as we go along what your predictions are for these various prices. So I have a feeling we're going to see. Well, let me just switch the screen around first of all. So we'll go to. We'll start by having a look at the teams from last season, and then we will. I've made a special screen where we can have a look at some of the players that have come in who are obviously not going to be in last year's game. So a quick fiddle around on here. I had FPL open in this screen. So let's start with the goalkeepers. So we'll have a look, as I say, first of all at the players, how they performed last season, whether or not we think there should be an increase in price, a decrease in price, and then after a while, after we've done that, we'll have a look at the players who have been signed so far this summer, and whether or not what we think they're going to come in at, basically. Yeah, so that's pretty much what we're going to do today. So if we start off with the goalkeepers, as I say, do let me know what you think in the chat. We've got Pickford, who's very, very surprised that he ended up as the top goal scoring keeper this season. So what I'll say here is a general rule of thumb, and I'm not going to say this is definitely 100% accurate. Quite often, where the player ends the season in terms of their price is usually a pretty good guide to where they're going to be next season. So, for example, if a player was 4.5 million and he ends the season at 5.2, I don't actually know what Pickford started at, but let's say he started at 4.5 million, he ended at 5.2. Usually that's a fairly good indication that his price is going to be 5.5. And also the other way around. If a player, let's say, we'll look at him a midfielder, I was going to say Foden, but just a make-believe player, started the season at about 7 million, and by the end of the season, he's dropped to, say, 5.9. Usually, that would be a good guide that, you know, his price for the following season will probably be somewhere between 5.5 and 5.5 and 6 million. That's just a general guide, but I've noted, you know, over many seasons of playing this game now, that generally does tend to be quite accurate. Obviously, the time that rule doesn't apply, not that rule always applies anyway, is when you have someone who has a massive breakout season like Palmer, in which case, you know, obviously FPL boosted his price up from, what was it? I think he actually ended the season before last on about 5.5 million, 6 million. Obviously, FPL couldn't price him as that. They had to massively whack up his price to about, what did he start? Can anyone remember in the chat? I think it was about 11 million. And also, if a player massively regresses, like another player I'm sure we'll get to later, Haaland, so I don't know I can't remember what his price dropped to, but I'd say he dropped from 15 to, I guess he'd probably be around 14, 14.1, 14.2. Chances are they're going to drop him more than that because, you know, he has dropped off so radically. I guess he didn't drop off that radically last season. He's really dropped off radically over the space of 2 seasons, hasn't he? But I find, as a general rule of thumb, that's a good way to go if you're trying to predict player prices. So anyway, let's get back to this. Can't be saying Kelleher's price will be one we're waiting for. Yes, I've heard a lot of people talking about Kelleher. I believe, in terms of goalkeepers, I believe he's joined Brentford. And I also read today when I was preparing for this, they've sold Flecken. So I'm assuming that means he's pretty much Kelleher. That is 100% sure. Well, not 100% sure, because you can never be 100% sure, but 99.9% sure to be their starter next season. I mean, I would counter that with Brentford's defence wasn't exactly amazing last season, was it? So sure, he may be a good goalkeeper, and he's going to be coming into a good team. You know, they did well last year, but they mainly did well in attack rather than defence. So I mean, tell me what you think Keller will come in, what price he'll come in the chat. I'm thinking probably 4.5 million. I mean, I can't see anyone going for him. I won't be going for him if he's more than 4.5 million. I mean, Flecken wasn't more than 4.5 million last season. Although, having said that, I know Flecken did perform quite well, didn't he? So let's have a look. So Pickford was the top scorer last season. So this is what I often do when I'm trying to think about what prices they'll be. Is I have a look at their. Why is it not letting me do it? I need to zoom out. That's why. What price they started at last season? So he came in. He started at 5 million. And he ended at 5.2. I mean, realistically, he's the Everton goalkeeper. If they raised him to 5.5, based on last season's pricing, where they had the top end players like the top goalkeepers like Raya and Alisson at that price, you know, they're not going to put him in at that. They were 5.5 million. They're not going to put him on parity with those. So surely it's going to be 5 million still for Pickford. Coleman saying he'd be happy with 4.5. Yeah, I think it would be, mate. I think anything other than 4.5 upwards is going to put people off, isn't it? Because we'll probably have plenty of other options at 4.5. We normally do anyway, don't we? Anything more than 4.5, I'd say Kelleher. It's probably a no-go, at least for the start of the season. So the next ones I suppose of interest are, and I'll kind of cover them together, Raya, Edison, and Alisson. Obviously, I believe they were the only three goalkeepers that started at 5.5 last season. Correct me if I'm wrong. And obviously, that was a bit of a drop-off because in previous seasons, FPL would actually increase the prices of the goalkeepers quite a bit. So the prices of at least the top three teams, and I'm saying the top three teams here, not based on last season, but over the last three or four seasons, in Liverpool, Arsenal, and Man City were all about 6 million. But last year they dropped the price of all of them to 5.5. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I can't see them changing that. I think, to be honest with you, if anything, there may be a drop in price for one of them or multiple of them, rather than an increase. So I can't see Raya's price increasing or decreasing. You know, Arsenal was still quite solid last season. Perhaps not quite as solid as the season before, but I mean, he's not going to drop below 5.5, is he? Same with Alisson, of course. He's the keeper of the champions. What I'd be interested to see is Edison. I mean, if I remember correctly, he was he even starting regularly at the end of the year? I know he wasn't starting regularly, but was he starting at all towards the end of last season? Oh, he was. He just missed those 2 games there. But I'm wondering, maybe Edison, considering they only finished in, was it 3rd in the end? And considering, his price dropped from 5.5 to 5.3, maybe we could see him fall. I mean, he's never been a great FPL asset anyway, has he? At least when I've owned him. He always seems to concede when you don't expect him to. So I think he might come down to 5 million, potentially, if any of them are going to. Onana. Did he start at 5.5? He started at 5 million. I mean, I'd say he'll probably come in at 5 million again. I mean, if anything, you'd want to drop him, wouldn't you, to 4.5? But I can't see a Manchester United goalkeeper coming in at 4.5. I mean, that's assuming that they don't sign someone and he's not second choice next season, which is probably quite possible. Evening, Andrew, FPL Nightmare. How are you doing, mate? Can't see Edison falling. Too much potential for clean sheets if City hit form. Yeah, maybe, mate. Maybe I'm... I mean, he's never an option at 5.5, is he? If you're I know most content creators don't spend that sort of money on a goalkeeper anyway, but if they do, it's going to be on the Arsenal or Liverpool keeper. At least if they priced him at 5 million, Edison, this is, some people might choose him, which, to say that, people still do choose him. I mean, let's still talk FPL Andy has had him in his team quite regularly, hasn't he? But, yeah, I would like to see him dropped. How much do you think for Mazwowie? We'll get on to him. 4.5, I'm going to say. What was he last season? Let's have a look. We dropped to 4.2. Yeah, I'm gonna stick him at 4.5. I mean, they're not going to drop a Man United defender to 4 million, are they? Unless they bought in a left back. I don't know. If they bought in someone who could take his place. I mean, we'll get on to the signings later. I mean, in terms of the other goalkeepers, Nick Pope, he finished the season at 5, assuming he's still going to be first choice next season. I think they've got to keep him there, haven't they? Martinez at 5. He started the season at 5. He finished at 5. I'd say they'll probably keep him there. Leno, maybe a price increase. I'm assuming he didn't start at 5, did he? Oh, he did start at 5. Oh, he was 5 all season. Okay, fair enough. I know Bournemouth have bought a new... Is it Bournemouth who bought a new goalkeeper? So we can have a look at him in a little while. Yeah, I don't think anyone ideas in the chat of any. I'm not going to cover the promoted teams until we get to the new players who are coming in. Basically, I can't really think of any other goalkeepers who are really worth speculating on at this stage. Just wanted to say his name. Thank you for that, Andrew. So let's move on and have a look at the defenders. So Gavardio, now he's going to be very interesting next season because, of course, they've signed. Help me out in the chat. Aiton Nuri, haven't they? So presumably now, when Gavardio plays, I mean, I know he played a lot at centre back anyway, but you would assume now he's going to be stuck at centre back. So he started the season at 6 million, finished on 6.5. I mean, he was in everyone's team, wasn't he? I think he was 90% owned by the end of the season. It's not surprising he went up that much. I'm going to say he'll come in at 6.5, but considering the fact he's probably likely to spend a lot less time playing, to get time out on the left, I'd say he's probably not going to be worth it. So I can imagine he'll be one of those early players who'll get mentioned a lot as being overpriced, particularly if he goes up to 6.5. Nightmare saying, I wouldn't be surprised if Pep went to a back 3. Possibly, but surely then Aiton Nuri would, if they play wing backs, Aiton Nuri would be the wing back and Gavardio would still be centre half anyway, then wouldn't he? Yeah, so I think he may get a raise, and that might make him not really an option. Now Trent is obviously no longer, let's say, no longer with us, like he's dead. He's not dead, but he's obviously moved to Real Madrid for the Club World Cup. Is anyone watching that, by the way? I am avoiding it like the plague. But the interesting thing about that, of course, is it's going to make Bradley. But then again, will it make Bradley an option? Because they've signed the... his name escapes me. We're going to talk about him in a while. The lad from Frimpong. Is that a new name for me to not be able to say? Frimpong from Germany. So maybe Bradley will still be consigned to the bench, I guess. I mean, he must be quite frustrated with that, mustn't he? But I mean, if I was that talented of a young player and I'd been sitting on the bench for, 2 or 3 seasons now, he's done brilliantly whenever he's come in. And then finally, Trent moves on. and surely that's your, that's your place into the team, and then they go out and sign this Frimpong. 6 million, Combs saying in the chat. Well, I hear he's very attacking. Had Trent stayed, I'm not going to say he's going to be as attacking as Trent. I would have thought Trent would have probably been 7 million this year. But of course, they're not equivalent players. Frimpong is going to be new to the league. So, yeah, 6 million. I think 6 million sounds about right. He could go to 6.5, maybe at a stretch. But it'd be difficult, I think, to price a player that really higher than 6 million who's brand new to the league. Though he is in the Liverpool defence, and I guess Van Dijk is usually. What was Van Dijk's price last season? Well, yeah, Van Dijk started the season at. Well, he started the season at 6 million. He went up a lot, didn't he? He went up from 6 million to 6.7. I didn't remember that happening. That's a massive rise across the course of the season. Considering he's a very consistent defender, obviously, but he doesn't go on massive goal scoring spurts or anything. He's gets a couple of seasons. He got 3 last season, but I'm surprised he went up quite that much. I guess maybe it was Trent's lack of form. Going by that. And with what I said earlier about how I predict prices, he should be 6.5 next season, that being Van Dijk. And if you're going to make Van Dijk 6.5, then I guess you have to make Frimpong 6.5 as well. It doesn't make much sense to have the attacking fullback as less than the centre-back. So, it's not based on my predictions. It's not looking like there's going to be much value to be had out of the players we've looked at so far. Anyway, so Nottingham Forest defenders, Milenkovic, 5.2. We could just talk about them as a whole. I think all of their defenders are going to come in. I'm assuming all their defenders last season came in at 4.5. I think that's going to be That's going to be like a team, a club wise, isn't it? A defensive player, goalkeeper or defender is probably going to cost 5 million, I'd imagine, this next season. Munoz, so he's an interesting one. So he has obviously had an amazing season. Unfortunately, I didn't own him. Maybe I would have finished a bit higher had I owned him. So he's gone up from 5 million to 5.2. So based on the way that I work out prices, which I explained earlier, I think that means he's got to be 5.5. I know towards the end of the season, people were saying 6 million, 6.5 million. Really, for a what was it? How many goal involvements did he actually get? 4 goals, 6 assists. It is very good, but surely you can't price a Crystal Palace defender at more than 5.5. Let me know what you think in the chat. I know. I just can't imagine it. You can't. No, I'm saying 5.56. I think more than 5.5 is getting a bit ridiculous now. Sure, if he moves on to, I don't know if he's been linked to any clubs, but if he moves on to a quote-unquote bigger club, then yeah, 6 million maybe. I think it would be very, very hard to persuade people to get Munoz in their team if he comes in at more than 5.5. That's my thinking anyway. And I guess outside of him, Crystal Palace defenders, it's going to be, I don't know, it could be 4.5, it could be 5. They had a good end to the season, but I think they'll be whatever price they were last season outside of Munoz. So Kirkes is an interesting one because, of course, he is supposedly signing for Liverpool. I mean, I know the transfer is not confirmed yet on the Premier League website, which we'll have a look at in a little while. But I mean, what price would he come in at? I mean, I guess in theory he should cost more than Frimpong because he is a established Premier League player. 8 attacking returns last season, 2 goals, 6 assists. Obviously, if he goes in the Liverpool side, I mean, I can't see him signing for Liverpool unless he's had assurances that he's going to be first choice over Robertson. I think I read somewhere, maybe yesterday, that Robertson is maybe going to Atletico Madrid, or at least he's been linked to Atletico Madrid. So I think Kirkes, I mean, it'll come in at the same as Frimpong, whatever that price is. Again, I think maybe that goes as high as 6.5. Based on the fact that he is based on the fact he's an attacking defender and he's going to be joining the champions. I mean, I guess the other issue is, would you even go for a Liverpool defender? Because Frimpong's got Bradley challenging him. Kirkes will presumably have Robertson challenging him, so that might make them no goes anyway. Blue Joe saying they're expecting Frimpong to be more than Kirkes. Possibly. I mean, there's going to be more buzz for him coming into the new season, but I would suggest that's going to be a lot of that's going to be the fact he's new to the league. And does him being new to the league really mean we should be expecting any more from him? I mean, to use the logic, we should really be expecting more from Kirkes based on the fact that he's an established Premier League player. And even if we don't expect more from him, the way that the Premier League generally price players is to price players who've got some sort of proven track record in the Premier League as higher than players who are coming in who, you know, as well as they may have done in other leagues before, have obviously not played in the Premier League. It'll be interesting to see that one. So Aiton Nuri. I mean, he ended the season at 5.1, but he's going into. Let me know what you think Aiton Nuri's price will be in the chat. I know he's one that's been talked about a lot already. But he's going into Man City. That automatically gives him a boost of. They've got to boost him up to 6 million based on that. I mean, he had good attacking numbers: 4 goals, 7 assists. That's a very good attacking record. So, I mean, the problem with him for actual FPL teams is, you know, as with any Man City defender, is he going to be, apart from Gvardiol, you know, is he actually going to start? But usually that doesn't really affect the FPL pricing. I can't see him going up to as much as 6.5 because he's joined a new club. I think he'll come in at 6. And I think of the defenders we've talked about so far, he is possibly the one likeliest to be in my game week 1 team if we think he's going to start. Because his attacking numbers are really good. And I think he'll come in, well, if he comes in cheaper than the Liverpool defenders anyway. Just have a general look. I mean, I think the Everton defenders maybe might get, I'm talking about as a club here, might have 0.5 million added on. Maybe not, I don't know. They did finish the season very well. I think Newcastle defenders are likely to come in at a similar price to they did last season. I mean, obviously Trippier is going to fall a lot because of the injury problems and the fact he, well, didn't start a lot of last season, did he? And that's only going to, you would imagine, continue, if not increase, due to his age. I mean, I guess the likes of Livramento, well, yeah, having said that, I think Livramento, Byrne, Botman, all should be boosted up to 5 million. Hall as well. I mean, whoever we think out of those is going to be the first choice defenders needs to be boosted up because, there was no way that Shaw is worth $1 million more than Burn and Livramento. So I think the Newcastle defenders will take a bit of a boost up, actually. Joe is saying 6 million out in Nuri. Combe and Niall all saying, yeah, I think 6 million. I think if you go up much above that, people are not going to touch him, are they? Particularly when you've got to take the risk that, Pep's going to even Pep's even going to select him on a regular basis. So Arsenal defenders. Let's have a look at the Arsenal defenders. I mean, I imagine the Arsenal defenders are pretty much going to stay the same, similar to the goalkeepers. They didn't really regress. Look at how many of them are injured. They didn't really regress last season. They didn't really... Actually, let's look at what they did actually started at. I'm assuming they all started at 6 million last season. Am I right? Yeah, they all started at 6 million last season. I mean, I guess there's a chance we may see Gabriel. No, I think they'll all come in at 6 million. Well, the ones that are nailed on, I think at least will come in at 6 million. So Saliba and Gabriel. I'll be interested to see what happens with Kivior because he was excellent towards the end of the season, but presumably he's not going to be first choice now. And I guess the other defenders, Calafiori, White, 5.5 Timber. Again, I think next season it's going to be difficult to know outside of Gabriel and Saliba who to choose because of rotation issues. Yeah, that's Villa defenders. I can see them maybe getting a boost up to 5 million, considering the season they had. Then again, they actually finished lower in the league, so maybe they'll keep them where they are. Go back to the defender view a minute. Chelsea defenders, again, I reckon they'll probably stay about the same. Same with the Fulham defenders, assuming they came in at around 5 million. I mean, Robinson, I guess, might. He was a strange one last season, wasn't he? Because he started off like a house on fire, 10 assists, but I wonder how many of those assists came towards the end of the season. He didn't have a single attacking return for 14 game weeks, I think that is. So he'll probably stay. He probably deserves. Well, he probably should rise to. I mean, that's another thing is, and the Premier League generally do this, is they put a lot more emphasis on the form at the end of the season, which is reflected in the final season price. And they do, someone can have a brilliant first half of the season and then a very weak second half of the season, and that second half of the season will have a much stronger influence on what FPL do with their price than the first half. Now, that is right, of course. You need to take into consideration the first half of the season more than the second half. Sorry, the second half more than the first half. But I think there's too much of an imbalance, if that makes sense. It's almost like the first half of the season doesn't exist, and the second half of the season is all we're judging it on. I would much prefer it if they sort of, put a little bit more emphasis on the second half of the season, but also took into account more the first half. Anyway, a long way of saying I think Robinson will probably, based on the fact that, Oh, Niall's pointing out that did he not start towards the end of the season? Oh, yeah. Well, he had a checkered record. He's missed a few games. But, yeah. I think he'll probably start with wherever he started at last season, 4.5. Could be a bit of a bargain if, Fulham can continue to do relatively well. I mean, certainly for 4.5. Chelsea defenders, I think, will stay the same. Porro, he's the only other one who's maybe worth looking at before we move on to midfielders. Started at 5.5. Ended on 5.2. I'm surprised he didn't drop by more than that, considering how terrible Spurs defense was last season. I'm guessing he's got to drop to 5. Chat, do you not think? Can't see anyone. To be honest, I can't see anyone going. I can't see anyone going for him at 5, but I definitely can't see anyone going for him at 5.5. I think that's true. Man United and Spurs defenders, surely they've got to come down to 5 at maximum. I mean, well, actually, they should all be 4.5, shouldn't they? I mean, if any other teams were to finish in, Roberta. If any other teams apart from Spurs and Man United had finished in, what was it, 15th and 17th, like they did last season, we would expect their defenders to be 4.5. So, no, I was saying agree. So I hope that's the case, because if they're not, I can't think of any defender. I mean, maybe Porro, you could argue you put him at 5 because he does have a lot of attacking potential. But outside of him, surely they have to be 4.5. If they're not, it's just biased towards the fact that that it's Man United and Spurs. Anyway, let's go on to have a quick look at the midfielders now. So these are where we start to get a bit interesting, because I think the midfielders is where we're going to see the biggest price rises and price falls. So Salah, of course, started the season. What did he start as? I can't remember. Was it 12.5? 12.5. I mean, he's finished the season closest to 13.5, but I think he's got to go up to 14, hasn't he? He's got to be the most expensive player in the game next year. I mean, the only thing I would say is, again, saying the point again that they generally put more emphasis on the second half of the season. He was nowhere near as good in the second half of the season as he was in the first half. So if they put a lot of, even saying it, I was going to say if they put a lot of emphasis on the second half of the season, but even if they did that, they can't put the record ever Premier League goal scorer, point scorer at less than 14 million, can they? I mean, I hope they don't put him up to 15 million like they did with Haaland last year, because it just makes him almost untouchable there. Tell me in the chat what you think Salah will come in at. I'm going to go 14 million. And as I say, I hope he's not more than that, because it kind of just puts him out of the game. I know a lot of people say, they want the absolute top players to be priced so high that you've got to, sacrifice massively to get them in. And I sort of got that with Haaland last season, because he had been brilliant for 2 seasons. But Salah wasn't brilliant towards the end of the season. He is getting older. So there's no real even guarantee that he's going to continue that form next season. Whereas Haaland, of course, is a lot younger. So I'd like him to come in at 4. I'd like him to come in at 14. Niall's saying 14. Salah is saying 14.5. Gives you a decision to make. Yeah, well, you're obviously one of the proponents of the opposite the opposite argument of me, Roberto. M1974 is saying Salah and Haaland are both 14 million. And Combe was saying similar. Haaland and Salah both at 14.5 million. I don't think you can price. Well, you could make an argument that Haaland and Salah should be priced the same next season, I guess, if you took collectively their previous 3 seasons. But there's no way that's going to happen. They've got to punish Haaland. Well, not punish him, not as if he really cares what his FPL price is, but they've got to put his price down based on the fact that, he has not been the player in the last 2 years that he was in his first year. And they've got to raise Salah up. We'll get to Haaland's price in a while, but I think he's going to come in at about 13. But whenever he comes in, he's got to come in below Salah. He's got to come in below Salah. I mean, it would be unfair, I think, for anything to be. It would be unfair for any other outcome to happen. and that's just not the way FPL do things. Unless, of course, Mark Sutherland is going to have some influence on that. Joe's saying, would love it if Salah was made a forward, would shake things up. Yeah, I can see what you mean by that. I mean, we do. I mean, last season was a bit different actually because we did have a few choices at forward, but yeah, I get what you mean. But they don't do that, do they? They unless someone is literally playing as a centre forward, and unless they play half the season as that centre forward, FPL are not going to change. You know, unless they literally change the whole game basically. So anyone who plays in the front three is a forward. Class as a forward, they're not going to change Salah. But I take on board what you say, mate. It would shake things up a bit. Haaland has to be 13.5. Well, maybe. If they were right, Roberto, and they made Salah 14.5, I think there has to be a clear million difference between Haaland and Salah, with Haaland being the lesser of the two. Hi, MD. I hope Salah is 13, Salah is 14.5. I sort of agree with you, MD. That's sort of the way I'm thinking it's going to go. Okay, so let's move on to another name. Palmer, as Trigger Lips calls him. I'll just say again, I'm on Trigger's channel at 7 o'clock on Wednesday. His debut live stream, which I'm very excited about, on his channel to talk about the fixtures. So do join us for that. I mean, what a drop-off. What a drop-off to a season he had. So he started at 10.5, raised all the way up to 11.4. By the end, it dropped all the way back down to 10.5 again. So I think, to be honest with you, I'm probably more interested to see Palmer's price than anyone else in FPL next season. Because again, because of the bias they generally have, or at least they have had in the past, of putting so much emphasis on the second half of the season. If you take that first half of the season, you know, where he scored, I can almost subtract the number of, I mean, he got 8 returns basically in the second half of the season. So he would have got, of those 25 returns, he would have got 17 of them. So he got 17 in the first 18 game weeks. There you'd be talking about raising him maybe to 12, 13 million. But then in the second half of the season, he had 7 returns in 18 game weeks. So if you were to, you know, price him on the second half of the season, you'd probably say, what, 6 million? You're probably talking about a sort of a 12 million, 13 million player at the start, first 18 game weeks of last season, and a 6 million player towards the end. Overall, I would say keeping his price at 10.5 million would probably be about right, in my opinion. But based on the fact they put so much emphasis, FPL this is in general, at the end of the season, I'm predicting Palmer will have a drop. Not a lot, maybe to 10 million. What do you guys think? MD saying Pickford has been the highest scorer. He was the highest goalkeeper. We discussed him earlier, MD. I think he'll stay at 5 because they can't raise him to 5.5 because he'll be the same as the Arsenal goalkeeper than the Newcastle one. 10 million, yeah, I agree. For Palmer. Who do we want? Who do me and Andrew want first for Newcastle? Sunderland or Villa? Or a big test? He wants Liverpool away first. I wouldn't mind the Liverpool away first. I mean, we've got the Champions League again next season. Me and Andrew are Newcastle supporters, for anyone who's not watched this before. I'd like to get the big games out the way before the Champions League starts. Could see Palmer at 9.5, 10 million. I was saying, yeah, I think he's got to take a drop, hasn't he? You know, if he comes in at the same as what he did last season, how are people going to justify? How's anyone going to justify bringing him in after he stung us so much at the end of last season if he costs literally the same amount? You know, I guess unless he, you know, becomes top scorer of the Club World Cup or something. MD is also saying if Watkins is under 9 million, he may be a bargain. Yeah, possibly. We'll get on to him in a bit. So let's go back, have a look. Some very interesting names at the top of it. We might as well stick with these. And Burmo, 8.3 he ended the season at. I know I've read that he's been linked to Man United, so he had a massive rise, which isn't surprising given the season he had. 7 million to 8.3. It's pretty huge. This is one where I might actually stick with my logic of price them with the nearest. The FPL will price him basically where he finished. So maybe 8.5. His returns, 20 goals, 9 assists. Bloody hell. I didn't realise it was quite that much. Well, you got to price him more than 8.5 then, haven't you? 30 returns. 9.5, maybe. Yeah, Niall's saying he's excited about him. Burmo. Nightmare saying in Burmo, Cunha, and Bowen should all be 8.5. I don't know, mate. I don't think they can price someone who's got 30 goal involvements at and in Burmo at 9.5. I think he's got at 8.5. I think he's got to be at least 9, surely. Particularly because he's playing at Brentford. If he gets a move to Man United, he'd be playing in a worse team, won't he? Yeah, 9.5, I reckon. Or 9, maybe not 9.5. MD saying in Burma should be 8.5 or 9. Yeah, I agree. It'll be interesting to see where he ends up as well. If he's at Man United, I think you probably actually have to lower his price, wouldn't you? Newcastle, he'd probably raise his price, but would he start every game? I guess he probably would, but he's going to have more pressure. Certainly, I think his minutes will be affected if he moves to Newcastle. Bowen, he had a great. Well, he actually had a pretty good all-round season, but he was particularly good at the end of the season. Particularly, of course, he owned him on the last day when he got his goal and assist. So he started at 7.5, 7.9 finished. Yeah, I reckon about 8 million. Which is his closing price. I think that's about right for him. West Ham, I can see them probably being very similar in terms of where they finish, the type of football they play next season. I'll say 8 million for him. He's saying I'd like to see Saka at 8 million. Yeah, I can't see that then, mate. Cunha could have a possible position change. Can you explain that, Niall? Nightmare's asking how much should Jacob Murphy be priced? How much do you think Jacob Murphy should be priced, Andrew? Is he going to keep his place? I was shocked he kept his place to the end of the season. If we do sign in Burma, even if we don't sign in Burma, we're going to sign someone, I would imagine, to give competition on the wings. Could you even argue? I don't think you can go at that much. Robert's saying 7.5. I don't think so, mate. I don't think so. I think that's. I don't know. I don't want to say, particularly as I'm a Newcastle fan, I don't want to say he was a one-season wonder or even a second half of the season wonder. I hope that's not the case, but I do have a feeling maybe it will be. So Bruno Fernandes, I'm not going to look at Luis Diaz. I think he'll come in about the same. He started at 7.5. He ended at 7.5. He got 19 goal involvements. There's rotation there. I think 7.5 is probably about right for him. Bruno Fernandes. So, assuming he hasn't moved to Saudi, I don't believe he has he? Let me know in the chat. I know he was linked. I think he's got to stay the same as well. He started the season at 8.5, ended the season at 8.4. 20 goal involvement. I think if he stays in the Premier League, he stays the same price. I can't see that really changing. Here's some interesting ones. So I'm not going to look at one. I'm going to say Bournemouth midfielders in general here. So we're talking about Semedo, Kluivert. They finished the season at 5.7 and 5.9. Obviously, both did amazingly well. Semedo with 19 returns. Kluivert, how many did he get? I'm guessing he got more. No, he didn't. He only got 18. I mean, surely they've got to be up at, what do you think in the chat? 7.5 maybe. I know that their end of season price was not that, but with around 20 returns each, I mean, surely that's got to justify at least 7 million, 7.5 million. Bruno should be 9. Niall, really? Why? Can you play might play in a 10 role? Bruno might be playing deeper next season. Yeah, good point, Noel. In which case, Roberto, Bruno definitely should not be 9 million. Diaz's 3 highest scores were in the opening 5 game weeks, says MD. Yes, that's true. He could be a nice option to start the season if under 8 million. That's true, but I think that actually, in terms of his overall price, probably makes the argument that he should stay at the same price because so much of his returns were early in the season in a few game weeks, if that makes sense. Semenya 6.5, Kluivert 7 on penalties. Yep. I think they should probably be a little bit more, but that makes sense indeed. Joe is saying, how many 10 million plus mids will we have next season? 3 or 4 maybe? Well, Palmer, Salah. We haven't even looked at Saka yet, have we? Saka. Who else would come in at above 10 million? Well, it's the new lad, isn't it? We're going to talk about in a while. Florian Wirtz. Is that his name? Tell me if I'm pronouncing it right in the chat. It's the first time I've attempted to pronounce his name. I can see him maybe coming in at above 0.10. We'll have to see. Sabio saying 1 million hike max for Semenyo and Kluivert. I take it you mean there, mate. Yeah, 7.5 million. I think 7.5 million for Bournemouth midfield is fair. It's the same price. I think that may be your bias there, Nightmare, in terms of Newcastle players. Okay. What about Saka? Where is he? Oh, he's right the way down here at the bottom of the page. 10.4 million. He ended on. Started at 10. I think 10.5. I think he's another one you can probably keep. Keep him where he finished, basically. I mean, he is quite injury prone, isn't he? And I think that will put people off. I mean, look at the numbers he missed, games he missed last season. I think that will put people off having him maybe in game week 1. If he's any more than that, I think keep him at 10.5. I mean, based on what I actually did, 17 goal involvement basically every 100 minutes, pretty much it won a game. I think they probably will increase his price. I don't think they should, though. Well, they should increase it from 10 to 10.5, but I don't think they should be putting him at like 11 million, anything like that. About saying 9, MD 9.5, only 9. Roberto, you honestly think Saka should be the same as Fernandez? What have you been smoking tonight, mate? Saka 9.5, Palmer should be 0.5, 0.5 based on his points last season. Yeah. Can't be saying 10. I think about 10. I think they'll go to 10.5. I can't see them not increasing him a little bit. But let's hope it's not too much. So Rodgers is one that a lot of people have been talking about. So he is... Wow, yeah, he really did have a good end of season, didn't he? Total season, 19 returns. Wow, that's incredible. Didn't realise again it was that much. He started the season, obviously he was a big bandwagon. I'm sure there'll be one again this season. He was a big bandwagon at the start of the season in terms of... I remember everyone saying he'll be he'll be last season's Palmer, but he won't be as good as Palmer. If you actually look, he had 19 goal involvements. How many did Palmer have in the season? Was he... Oh, well, he had... To be fair, he had, when he was only 5 million, he had 35 goal involvements. Okay, so he wasn't quite Palmer last season, but he certainly did bloody well. He certainly did a lot better than his starting 5 million price, and better than his 5.8 million. I think 7 million again, maybe 7.5. What do you guys think? Savio's saying it's actually be the same price as Palmer with pens. Yes, possibly. MD is saying Rodgers 7 million. He played in every home match besides Leicester at home. Yeah, I think 7 million is a good call, MD. I mean, I was saying that. I said Cliver and Semenyo at 7.5. So for consistency, I'm going to say Rodgers should be 7.5 as well. Although to be fair, maybe they should all be. Maybe 7 million is a fairer price for all of them. Oh, of course, Colm. Yes. I forgot. Roberto was from the sunny land of Portugal. Congratulations on the, what do you call it? Nation League win. Is that right? Literally, I don't care. It's a glorified friendly, but a glorified friendly tournament. The Nations League. Crystal Palace midfielders. What do we think on those guys? Gibbs White, Alanga. So Gibbs White started at 6.5 and he only ended at 6.5. I guess he did kind of have an up and down season, didn't he? I remember owning him around here somewhere very early in the season, and they got a penalty, and then bloody Chris Wood took it. So I guess he probably went down in price after that. But he had a good end to the season. He's ended up with 18 goal involvements without penalties. Then again, he is 6.5. Maybe he'll go up to 7. Elanga. Similar goal involvements, 17. He went... Again, his price didn't change. Started and finished at the end. Surely he's got to go up to 6, maybe 6.5. Scored some brilliant goals, didn't he? So Crystal Palace. Has he moved? Can anyone in the chat tell me? I thought I read that he moved. Has he gone to Bayern Munich or something? Or did I dream that? The Crystal Palace midfielders in general, including the likes of Sarr, they've got to go up. They've got to go up, surely. Can anyone tell me in chat if Eze has moved or not? I completely and utterly passing by. It's a major trophy. Roberto says in relation to the Nations League. Yes, mate, keep telling yourself that. It's the Zenith Data Nations League trophy. Soviet saying Rodgers at 7 is fair, but will be higher than Asensio Rashford. Are they staying at Aston Villa? I thought they were all going back to their home teams. Sergio, but tell me if I'm wrong. So Forest players could say the same. Last season's form is difficult to replicate for them. maybe with Gibbs White, but I think Elanga's got to come up from 5.5. Surely they can't keep him there. Eze 7.5 is being linked with Aston Villa. Brilliant. I mean, I guess I'm being biased. I mean, I had him in my team. I think in the live stream I did with Steve Itel season review, I think I actually named him as my player of the season. So maybe I'm being a little bit biased, but yeah, I guess across the season he wasn't that amazing. He wasn't that amazing, was he? He was sort of up and down. And what was it? What were his returns like? I'm guessing nearly all of them came at the end. I mean, Sar's got to go up, surely. He's got to go up to... Sar had 15 returns. I think he's got to go up to 6.5. Eze, 16 returns. He wasn't actually injured that much. Yeah, maybe 7.5 is fair for him. I think maybe I'm getting carried away with the end of the season he had, and of course scoring the goal in the FA Cup final as well. Let me know, chat, is there any other midfielders we want to look at? We've gone through the first page here. I'm going to quick look, see if there's anyone else I want to talk about. Martinelli ended the season on 6.5. I'm guessing he went down a lot. Went down from 7. I'm guessing he'll probably stay at 6.5. Gordon. He must have... Well, he actually went... I'm surprised he ended the season with what he started with, considering the season he had. Yeah, I don't think there's anyone else here I really want to talk about forward. Let's go on to the forwards. Quick look at the chat. How about Gordon? Yeah. Well, as I say, he started at 7.5 and ended at 7.4. He didn't miss that much this season. What do you think, Nightmare, if you're still here for Gordon? I think keeping him at 7.5 probably about right. Let me know what you think in the chat. I think 7.5. Yeah, I don't think he deserves any. He definitely doesn't deserve an increase. He probably doesn't. I mean, he's a very good player. I just don't think he had the best of seasons. Yeah, Savio saying Eze, Bowen, Gordon, Diaz, price should be the same. Yeah, I agree with that, mate. Colm saying, did Eze get married recently? I do not know, mate. Okay, let's move on to have a look at the forwards. Where is the tab? Okay. Let's start with the big... Oh, how on earth is that even possible? Haaland finished the season... Oh, right. He went up a lot, didn't he? So Haaland started the season on 15. Went up to 15.4. If you remember rightly, he scored 10 goals, didn't he, in the opening 3 games? 3 or 4 games. We actually had even more than that. 2, 1. How many goals is that? Well, that's goals conceded. He was very, very consistent early on in the season, and then he went off a cliff, didn't he? So he had 22 goals, 1, 6, 8, 10 of those were in the first 5 game weeks. So in 33 game weeks, he only scored 12 goals. That's amazing, isn't it? So after game week 5, he only scored 12 goals. So obviously, his price came right down to 14.7. Somehow got back up to 14.9. I'm guessing that was due to those leaks that he was playing and around game week 36. So actually, if we're going to base it on my logic of what price they ended the season on, he should be 15. But surely, gentlemen, ladies, if they're any watching, he can't be 15 next year, can he? Let me know what you think in the chat. I mean, let's look at what he returned. Last season, he got 25 returns, identical to the season before, 25 returns. I mean, 25 returns that's 10, 11 million form. 12 million at best. And he's done that 2 seasons in a row now. Okay, his best season, he scored 35 returns, got 45 returns. That's 14 million form. But his price of 15 million is still based on his first season. Surely his price needs to reflect. Sorry, he did score more goals in the second season. Surely his price needs. It's on a continuous down stretch, basically. 36 to 27 goals to 22 goals. 9 assists to 8 assists to 3 assists. Surely his XG is down as well, massively. Surely his price has to reflect the fact that he is a player, at least in terms of his numbers, who is descending. Not like he's not a good player anymore, but has descended quite rapidly. And, what's going to change that? Haaland has to be lower than 14. I agree. MD saying 13, 13.5. No, he's saying 13.5. I mean, yeah. I would like them to decrease it more. I would like them to be 12.5. I think that would be really interesting. It won't happen. There's absolute no way it will happen. He will be 13, 13.5 at minimum. At minimum. It would not surprise me if he came in at 14. But surely he can't. He can't be more than 14. They can't keep him at 15. Evening, Paul. So yeah, I me for Haaland, I'd like 12.5. Realistically, 13.5 is well, yeah. I don't think it'd be a game breaker. Roberta's saying 12.5 would make Haaland a game breaker. I don't think so. Not based on the last couple of seasons. He got less returns than Mbeumo. Whatever Mbeumo cost, 7 million. Mbeumo wasn't a game breaker, was he? So no, I disagree. Isaac, all right, let's move on to Isaac. So MD saying Isaac could honestly be 11, but I predict 10. Yeah, let me know in the chat what you think of Isaac. So he started the season at 8.5, ended at 9.5. I mean, he probably was the best attacking player outside of Salah last season, wasn't he? 29 goal involvements. He's hitting that 30. I think you've got to put him up to 11 million next year, haven't you? I mean, he's got to be a premium, I think, based on those numbers. And it's not even an outlier. The previous season, 25 returns. 29 last season, 25 the season before that. I think he's got to be 11 million. I think if he is Roberto's talking about in the chat a shoe-in. If Isaac is 10 million, that is a shoe-in. I don't think Haaland at 12.5 is a shoe-in. I think Isaac at 10 million is a shoe-in. 10 million Combs saying. M74 is saying 10.5. Joe is going 11.5. Well, I think that's a bit high even for me, mate. But yeah, 11 million I think would be right for him. If he's 10, that is going to he's going to be in everyone's team if he's 10, isn't he? Particularly if they've got a good start to the season. So quite a few people mentioning Watkins, who obviously did not. Well, I say he did not have the best season. He ended up with 24 returns, which is obviously very good. I just don't think he was really an FPL option last season, was he? I don't think for the price he was at, he was really ever an option for our teams. Although 24 goal involvements when he was injured for some of the season, wasn't he? No, apparently he wasn't. But he was sort of in and out of the team, wasn't he? Yeah, we can see there, particularly the lad that moved off to Saudi Arabia was taking some of his game time. Then Rashford was taking some of his game time towards the end of the season. But to still end up with 24 goal involvements, that's pretty good. Pretty good in the context that he was not really spoken about as an FPL option for pretty much all of the season. Maybe at the start, but I can't remember him really being spoken about as an option. I think they should keep him at 9. I know a few people have been mentioning him in the chat. Let's see what you guys say. Ollie's a quality player, just wish he scored with his head. What do you guys think for Ollie Watkins? I think if they price him less than 9 million, he's going to be underpriced. That's a pretty good record last season. I expect him to do as well, probably better next year. MD says 9.5. I mean, yes, Isaac has definitely got to come in at more than a greater price, particularly as Watkins isn't on penalties. But I think 9 million is a fair price for him. So let's have a look at my worst player for last season. So if anyone who's not regular watches my channel, I always name my team the player who I hated the most the previous year in terms of the player who hurt my rank most. And this, I had such a good season the year before last. I finished 3,000. I didn't even change my name. I kept it to I hate Callum Wilson because he hurt me the most 3 seasons ago. But this season, guaranteed, the moment that game releases, I hate Chris Wood is going to be the title of my team for next season. Can't stand the guy. Well, you know what I mean. I can't stand him based on my FPL team last season. So he was the third highest scoring forward. Started at 6, not surprisingly, ended at 7.2. I mean, absolutely ridiculous. Andrew and me, FPL Nightmare, have discussed how disgusting his, as Newcastle fans who, you know, we paid a lot of money to get him in and make sure Burnley got relegated the season we first signed him, and he scored more goals for Nottingham Forest at St James's Park than he did for Newcastle. But anyway, I'm going on a rant there. In terms of FPL, he got, well, very good. 23 attacking contributions, pretty much all of them goals, 20 of them. He ended the season at 7.2. I mean, I guess they've got to... I think it will be a one-off season for him. I can't see him producing anything like this form again. When we look back at his previous record, 14 goals a season before, very good. But 3, 5, 12, 14, 10, 10. He is generally a 10 to 14 goal a season player. I expect him to regress back to that. I mean, if we look at his XG for last season, what was his XG? Where do I find that? His XG was 30. Is that his overall XG? His overall XG was 15, and he ended up with 25 goal involvements. I think he's gonna revert to type and be 10 or 15 goals. But I think FPL will price him. Let me know what you think he'll price him at. I think he'll be 7.5, maybe even 8 million. But I think he'll remain a 6 million player in terms of what he's actually worth to our FPL teams. So going back to Watkins, people agreeing, 9.5. We could get a permanent move to Burnley. Anything over 7.5 is too much for Wood. 7.5 million is fair. Yeah, I think I imagine he is going to come in at 7.5 million, but I think he's going to regress next season. I will not be going anywhere near him, even if he was 7 million. I mean, maybe he'll make me regret it. Maybe he'll do what he did to me last season, but yeah. Anyway, Visser. Let's have a look at Visser. 24 goal involvements, very good. He's actually been quite good. He was even fairly good the previous season when Tony was still there. He got 16 goal involvements then. Started the season at 6, ended at 6.9. I mean, I would prefer to have Visser in my team at the start of next season than Wood. I think he's been linked to moves away as well. I think he probably stay. I'm going to stick with my rule of generally what they ended the season actually be their starting price. So I'm going to say probably around 7 million for him as well. Cunha. So he's an interesting one, of course. He's moved to Manchester United. Good output. Had a few injuries. 23 returns. Started the season at 6.5, ended at 7. I mean, I'd say 7.5. We do have to take into account the fact that he's moved into Manchester United. Do we take $1 million off for that? I'm joking, of course. Well, I'm not really joking. I mean, I wouldn't add any money onto his price because of the fact he's at Man United. 7.5 I'm going to go for Cunha. MD is saying 8. Great with 8. I think Madison under Frank could be a great pick next season. Maybe, mate. Visser on pens now, 7.5. Yes, if Mbeumo leaves, I wouldn't. I mean, of course, one of the issues about wanting to go into a rant about the FPL pricing is that they do set it in. Let's say the game comes out when Fantasy Football Scout are predicting in when did we say 14th of July is the season doesn't start till the 15th of August, I think. Basically a month away, and then the transfer window doesn't finish for 2 weeks after that. So we always, of course, get the situation where someone will be a non-playing option at Liverpool, and they'll price them, say, at 4.5 million, and they'll get a move to, say, Brighton, and all of a sudden they should have been, you know what I mean? They should, because they were priced as a non-starting option in a top club, and then they get a move to a team further down the league, and all of a sudden they become an option, and their price is far too low. Or the opposite can happen. You know, a player who's at a really big club, or is at a small club, and is priced fairly, say at 7 million, and then goes to a big club, but all of a sudden now isn't going to start every match, and they're not an option. I mean, I don't know how FPL. I mean, I think they have tried to change the pricing a little bit to take that into account. I know you can't leave releasing the game until 2 weeks before, a week before the season starts, or a day before the season starts, because you wouldn't have anyone sign up for it. But you know, it does always lead to these sort of anomalies in terms of, or at least a few. You know, we always get a few underpriced or overpriced players because of that. Anyway. Visser is an interesting option. 19 goals about pens, yeah. But he's been very good. No pence to Cunha or bonus points, 8 million. I think he should be less than that, Niall. Joe is saying Hodgland for 5 million. Do we really want to look at him? He definitely won't be on this page, will he? So, I mean, look at that. 4 goals, 1 assist. I mean, that is terrible. I mean, I remember laughing a little bit when they signed him because he was always. I'm a big champ manager player, and he was always overrated on that. He was always highly rated on that as well. But then you looked at his goal scoring record for the teams he'd been at before. I think he was at Atalanta, and I guess a team in Norway before that. His goal scoring record was, I mean, it was better than this, but it was never that great anyway. I think people just like saw him and, maybe hallucinated that he was actually Haaland and decided to spend ridiculous amounts of money on him because of that. He should be 4.5. 4.5 million next season. 6.5 for Haaland. No, I don't see that, MD. Okay. Is there anyone else here I want to look at? The lap we're going to look at when we look at the players that have moved. Just Jimenez, I think, probably be about the same. Strand Larson maybe gets a bit of a boost. I think he deserves to be more. 18 returns, that's pretty bloody good. 18 returns, yeah, I think maybe 5.5 for him. 6. Solanke, I mean, surely he's going to come down a bit. I mean, he got 14 returns, which isn't terrible. Maybe 7 for Solanke. I think he's got to come down a little bit. Evan Nilsson, I think, maybe goes up 5.9, maybe goes up to 7 based on the season they had. Marmouche, probably the same, 7.5-ish. Yeah, I think he's probably 7 million, 7.5-ish. Any other forwards you guys want to look at before we move on and we have a look at the players that have come into the league? Indeed, Gravy Dave says. Let's have a look at him. Where would he be? Would he be on the first page? I mean, the big thing with him is he going to be... You think he'll be first choice next season? I mean, I know Calvert-Lewellen's moved on, hasn't he? I mean, he was very stop and start in terms... Well, he started very consistently. Well, he didn't actually. He didn't start the first 2 games. Then he played pretty much 90 minutes for 22 game weeks. Then I think he was injured, wasn't he? And then when he came back, he was sort of in and out, subbed a lot. I mean, he finished at 5.2. He started at 5.5. Guess 5.5 again would probably be about right for him. I mean, even if he was first choice, I can't imagine him being worth much more than that. João Pedro, yeah, we didn't look at João Pedro, did we? It's another frustrating player for me last season. Never seemed to go off when I had him in. I mean, a lot of people were saying he was underpriced. Started at 5.5. Ended at 5.5. I mean, he got 16 returns. Did spend a lot of time out injured. I think he's probably due a bit of a rise. 6 million, maybe. I mean, his injury record is 6 million. You know, his injury record would be a worry for me. If João Pedro moves to Newcastle, what price would I predict? Says Niall. Or if he moves in the next month, maybe add 5 million. Well, I'm predicting 6 if he stays at Brighton, so I'd say maybe 6.5 if he moves to Newcastle, because he's not going to play up front, is he? And presumably he'd lose penalties then. You could even make an argument that he'd be less of a good asset at Newcastle, considering the penalties, than he is at Brighton. Okay, all right. So let's have a quick look at some of the players who have moved into the Premier League so far. So obviously, again, there is a lot of time to come between now and the start of the seasons. There are going to be lots more players to be added in. We're just going to have a quick look at those who've come in already. So There we go. Got to do that. Do screen share. And we are... Where is my special little screen I prepared? Here it is. Okay. So this is the list of moves in and out of the Premier League so far this season. I don't know how up to date this is because it didn't actually have his name's already escaped me. Wirtz. It doesn't have Wirtz in here, so I'm fairly sure that signing was confirmed. But he's not on here. But I just made a note of the players who have come in that I think might be worth considering, or at least thinking about. There was no one for Arsenal. So the first lad I've got noted down is Krupe. I'm going to bastardise their names here. So who did he move to? I think he's moved to Bournemouth. So I'm guessing he's moved in. So he plays he's a winger, I believe. I'm not sure he plays on the left or right. But 22 goals. I mean, it was Liga 2. 22 goals, 2 assists. Maybe is he being signed? Let me know in the chat. Is he being signed because they're expecting Semedo or Cliver or one of those lads to move on? Maybe as a replacement? I mean, to be honest with you, when I put this up, I didn't realise it was League 2. I thought it was League 1. So maybe not an option. Maybe not an option. Maybe he's one for the future. So this guy is the left back, again for Bournemouth, who I'm assuming has come in to replace Kirkes. I think he's probably going to be about 4.5. He was a pretty good player. I'm going to refer to Football Manager a bit here. He was very good on Football Manager. He was quite an attacking defender. So I reckon maybe he might be worth someone looking at when the new season starts. If he comes in at about 4.5. Keller, we already talked about him earlier in the stream. I think he'll be about 4.5. I think Brentford's new keeper. I think any more or less than that. Sorry, less than that would be stupid. Any more than that, I think he's probably not going to be an option. This guy I highlighted is signed to Brighton from Olympiacos. He is a forward. I mean, I guess he's probably not going to get in. Is he? Yeah, again, he's probably one for the future. There are so many signings in and out. I just made a note of the ones that I thought may be interesting to talk to. He's probably going to be one for the future, isn't he, with João Pedro and Welbeck there. So this is one I did want to talk about. Liam Delap, who of course has signed for Chelsea. Has Premier League experience from last season. 12 goals, 2 assists. This one is probably going to be one of the most interesting ones. What do you guys think in the chat for Delap? I mean, first of all, is he going to be able to displace Nicholas Jackson or Nkunku if he's ever fit? Is he going to even start? And if he does start, where will he play? How much will he play? Will he be any good? I mean, I can see him being another bit part in-out player in much the same way that Nicholas Jackson and Nkunku and others have sort of, come in and out of the team over the last couple of seasons. Nile is saying their verts might be on the website by a medical on Friday. Okay, cool. Thanks. I'm going to guess for Delap 7.5. I mean, he could be brilliant. He's a very good young player, but I can't see him being an option at the start of the season. Frimpong we talked about already. I said I think it will come out about 6. So here's the big one, of course, Florian Wirtz. Amazing player, winner of the Bundesliga Player of the Season, I believe, for the last 2 years. Started 31 matches last season, 22 goal outputs, although only 10 of them goals, 12 of them assists. But I guess that's still very good. What was his record like the season before? Season before he had... What's the information up there? Season before we actually had a bit less. 17 goal outputs. He's basically locking up a goal or an assist every game and a half. It's very good. Coming into a Liverpool team, you've got to expect he's going to hit a minimum of 20 goals and assists next year. Maybe 20, 25. Considering he'll probably play 38 games, or you'd hope he play 38 games. I mean, that definitely puts him in the above 10 million category for me. But then again, you have to take into the fact he's going to be new to the league. I'm going to say 10 million. I'm going to say 10 million. So, M74, Jackson was benched tonight, started tonight, that bench. All right, thanks, mate. Although I don't really think we can read too much into the starting lineups in the Club World Cup, can we? Delap 6.5. Could be less than Marmoush and Solanke. Yeah, I guess so. He's probably got more competition for his place. Palmer and Delap could have a really nice at Chelsea. One eye to keep them. Neto is 6.5 last year. Verts 8.5 since animation time, mate. Joe is saying Verts priced the same as Saka and Palmer. MD is saying Verts 9 million. So there's a bit of disagreement here. I think it could be any of those prices. I mean, if we look at players who have come in from the German league before. So forget about Verts for a minute. We talk about players who've come in from the German league in general. I'm thinking in particular here of the two forwards, Haaland, of course, and who was the name of the lad who came into Chelsea and was supposed to be the greatest player of all time? Another German striker, Havertz. Was it Havertz? No, it might have been someone else. Anyway, with Haaland, obviously he came in, had a good record at Chelsea, in Germany, was priced at about 11 million, completely and utterly made a mockery of that price, was brilliant. Havertz came in, had an amazing record in Germany, was complete pants. So, you don't know how these players are going to settle in to the league. So, based on that, I think you've kind of got to go somewhere in the middle. You probably can't overprice him, but you can't underprice him. I think 10 million is about right. I think you're not overpricing him then. If he's not quite where he should be, there's still some effort to move him in. I think if you go 8 million, it's too low. I think there'd be too much. He could be too underpriced then, just everyone will have him. Excuse me. Werner, that's who. Thank you, Noel. That's who I was talking about. Yeah, Werner came in and was absolutely terrible, wasn't he? Yes, thank you. But he absolutely ripped it up in Germany. So, yeah, it could go either way. He could be a Werner. I mean, hopefully he won't be a Werner, but he could be. Or he could be a Haaland. I know they play different positions, but, in terms of... We look purely in terms of their numbers in the Bundesliga and then, replicating what might happen in the Premier League. So I think about 10. I think 10 million. Adam's saying 9. According to you guys, you think I'm overpricing him. Maybe I am overpricing him. I mean, I guess a lot of his outputs are assists as well. Roughly 50% of them. So we'll see. It'll be interesting. I'm probably more interested to see his price. And also, another thing I should have said was, the other thing I'm interested in is to see how much Foden gets decreased, I think 7 million for Foden next year. So why have I got this guy here? Oh, this is the new Man City midfielder who signed from the Netherlands. God, I don't even know the right name. Rygenders, however you pronounce that. He's had a good career for AC Milan, 13 goals. I mean, I don't think, again, I put these up before I'm going to start. I don't think he's probably going to start. Ryan Aït-Nouri we've already discussed. Ryan Shaqiri. So I put this guy up. This guy, when I bought Championship Manager 18-19, this guy was a 16-year-old wonder kid. Maybe it was 19-20. He was like the 16-year-old wonder kid in, which if anyone who doesn't play Championship Manager, basically means Championship Manager predicts, they're going to be the next Messi. And I had not heard anything about him until last season, where he was it Lyon, and he did okay. And finally, he's at Manchester City. That just made me laugh when I saw he was there. He's not going to be an FPL option, is he? Because of Pep Roulette. But I'm going to say he'll come in at the usual sort of price a Man City attacker comes in for when they sign. Say 7 million, 7.5. And finally, this guy, Andrew, if you're still in the chat, FPL Nightmare, has signed for Newcastle. At least he has signed officially for Newcastle, because he's on here on the official Premier League website. He is a right winger who presumably will be coming in to give Gordon a bit of Gordon, Barnes, etc. a little bit of run for their money. So, I mean, he is quite young. I don't know how often he'll start, but he certainly, might give. He'll take some minutes off those players. Anyway, I have been rambling on, I believe, now for an hour and a half. Thank you for everyone for joining me. As I say, today's one was really just a bit of a last spur of the moment thing. I thought I would come on, have a chat with you. I'll be honest with you, I've been missing live stream. I've been missing you guys. Please to help get the video out there. Please do subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. As I said earlier, I will be live streaming at 2 o'clock on Wednesday with the FPL Challenge winner of last season, which I'm very excited about. Basically, just to have a chat with him about what it was like to win FPL Challenge, but also how he thinks FPL Challenge could be improved as we go forward. Because let's be honest, it's not the most popular of games, is it? Then I'm going to be on Trigger's channel at 7 PM on Friday to have, so that's Trigger Talks FPL, I think, to talk about the fixtures. And it's his first live stream on his channel. Please do tune into that to support him. And then I'm hopefully also going to be streaming at 3 PM on my channel on Friday with FPL Nightmare, where we are going to have a quick look at the fixtures. I mean, I don't want to spend, I'm going to be doing it with Trigger on Wednesday night anyway, but I kind of tend to prefer to wait till the game comes out before looking at the fixtures. Today, again, was just a bit of fun. But we'll have a quick look at the fixtures on Friday. But the main thing we're going to be doing is talking about what our first seasons of content creation were like and what we're planning for next season, basically. Because me and him have been very supportive of each other throughout our FPL content creation journey of the last year. So we just wanted to have a chat. Basically, we're going to have a chat and record it. That makes sense. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Thanks, MD. Have a good couple of days. And please do join me on Wednesday when I'll be talking to the winner of FPL Challenge. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.